Viewer discretion advised. This content is for education and entertainment purposes. Any opinions are the opinion of hosts or guests and not the opinion of employers.
Thank you for joining us for Oust Now Presents This Is Us. And this first episode for us could be no other than the very special, inspiring woman to Black women and all women, from the humble beginnings to the White House, former First Lady Michelle LaVaughn Robinson Obama. She is a graduate of Princeton and Harvard Law School, an attorney, mother of two, beautiful, thriving young ladies, and the wife of former President Barack Obama.
Her intelligence has been proven throughout many years. She was a part of the gifted program. She skipped second grade. She was on honor roll for 4 years and took advanced placement classes and was involved in student life as a member of the National Honor Society and served as student council treasurer. She graduated from high school as the salutatorian of her class. That's the second highest ranked graduate of the entire graduating class. In 1981, despite being dismayed from applying to Princeton for setting her sights too high, she did anyway and was accepted into Princeton and graduated. That is where she became more aware of her race after her white roommate's mother allegedly tried to get her daughter reassigned.
Career in law is where she met her husband, Barack. Along with her law career, she has worked in the public sector for Chicago city government, Chicago's Office of Public Allies, and nonprofit organizations encouraging young people to work on social issues in nonprofit groups and government agencies. She worked there nearly 4 years and set fundraising records for the organization that stood 12 years after she had left. Obama later said she had never been happier in her life prior to working to build the public allies.
She was the dean of students at the University of Chicago, as well as the executive director for community affairs for the University of Chicago hospitals before taking a leave of absence campaign.
Although she campaigned on her husband's behalf since early in his political career by handshaking and fundraising, she did not relish in the activity at first. And when he decided, when he decided to run during the 2008 presidential campaign, she negotiated a deal for Barack to quit smoking in exchange for her support of his decision to run.
As one of the least famous of presidential candidate spouses in 2008, at the Democratic National Convention, she gave us a glimpse of the phenomenal woman she is and the great First Lady she would later become.
As you might imagine, for Barack, running for president is nothing compared to that first game of basketball with my brother Craig. I can't tell you how much it means to have Craig and my mom here tonight. Like Craig, I can feel my dad looking down on us, just as I've felt his presence in every grace-filled moment of my life. And at 6'6", I've often felt like Craig was looking down on me too, literally. But the truth is, both when we were kids and today, Craig wasn't looking down on me. He was watching over me. And he has been there for me every step of the way since that clear day in February 19 months ago when, with little more than our faith in each other and a hunger for change, we joined my husband Barack Obama on the improbable journey that has led us to this moment. But each of us comes here also by way of our own improbable journey. I come here tonight as a sister, blessed with a brother who is my mentor, my protector, and my lifelong friend. And I come here as a wife who loves my husband and believes he will be an extraordinary president. And I come here as a mom whose girls are the heart of my heart and the center of my world. They're the first things I think about when I wake up in the morning and the last thing I think about before I go to bed at night. Their future and all our children's future is my stake in this election. And I come here as a daughter raised on the south side of Chicago by a father who was a blue-collar city worker and a mother who stayed at home with my brother and me. My mother's love has always been a sustaining force for our family. And one of my greatest joys is seeing her integrity, her compassion, her intelligence reflected in my daughters. My dad was our rock. And although he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in his early 30s, he was our provider. He was our champion, our hero. But as he got sicker, it got harder for him to walk. It took him longer to get dressed in the morning. But if he was in pain, he never let on. He never stopped smiling and laughing, even while struggling to button his shirt, even while using 2 canes to get himself across the room to give my mom a kiss. He just woke up a little earlier, and he worked a little harder. He and my mom poured everything they had into me and Craig. It was the greatest gift a child could receive, never doubting for a single minute that you're loved and cherished and have a place in this world. And thanks to their faith and their hard work, we both were able to go to college. So I know firsthand from their lives and mine that the American dream endures. And what struck me when I first met Barack was that even though he had this funny name, and even though he had grown up all the way across the continent in Hawaii, his family was so much like mine. He was raised by grandparents who were working class folks just like my parents, and by a single mother who struggled to pay the bills just like we did. And like my family, they scrimped and saved so that he could have opportunities that they never had for themselves. And Barack and I were raised with so many of the same values, like you work hard for what you want in life, that your word is your bond, that you do what you say you're going to do, that you treat people with dignity and respect, even if you don't know them and even if you don't agree with them. And Barack and I set out to build lives guided by these values and to pass them on to the next generation, because we want our children and all children in this nation to know that the only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them. And as our friendship grew and I learned more about Barack, he introduced me to the work that he'd done when he first moved to Chicago after college. You see, instead of going to Wall Street, Barack went to work in neighborhoods that had been devastated by the closing of steel plants. Jobs dried up. And Barack was invited back to speak to people from those neighborhoods about how to rebuild their community. And the people gathered there together that day were ordinary folks doing the best they could to build a good life. See, they were parents trying to get by from paycheck to paycheck, grandparents trying to get it together on a fixed income, men frustrated that they couldn't support their families after jobs had disappeared. You see, those folks weren't asking for a handout or a shortcut. See, they were ready to work. They wanted to contribute. They believed, like you and I believe, that America should be a place where you can make it if you try. And Barack stood up that day and he spoke words that have stayed with me ever since. He talked about the world as it is and the world as it should be. And he said that all too often we accept the distance between the two and we settle for the world as it is, even when it doesn't reflect our values and aspirations. But he reminded us that we also know what the world should look like. He said, we know what fairness and justice and opportunity look like. And he urged ourselves to find the strength within ourselves to strive for the world as it should be. And isn't that the great American story? It's the story of men and women gathered in churches and union halls and high school gyms, and people who stood up and marched and risked everything they had, refusing to settle, determined to mold our future into the shape of our ideals. And it's because of their will and determination that this week we celebrate two anniversaries. The 88th anniversary of women winning the right to vote and the 45th anniversary of that hot summer day when Dr. King lifted our sights and our hearts with his dream for our nation. And I stand here today at the cross currents of that history, knowing that my piece of the American dream is a blessing hard won by those who came before me, all of them, driven by the same conviction that drove my dad to get up an hour early each day to painstakingly dress himself for work, the same conviction that drives the men and women I've met all across this country, people who work the day shift, then kiss their kids goodnight and head out for the night shift, without disappointment, without regret. See, that goodnight kiss is a reminder of everything they're working for. The military families who say grace each night with an empty seat at the table. The servicemen and women who love this country so much, they leave those they love most to defend it. The young people across America serving our communities, teaching children, cleaning up neighborhoods, caring for the least among us each and every day. People like Hillary Clinton, who put those 18 million cracks in that glass ceiling so that our daughters and our sons can dream a little bigger and aim a little higher. People like Joe Biden, who has never forgotten where he came from and never stopped fighting for folks who work long hours and face long odds and need someone on their side again. All of us driven by the simple belief that the world as it is just won't do, that we have an obligation to fight for the world as it should be. And that is the thread that connects our hearts. That is the thread that runs through my journey and Barack's journey and so many other improbable journeys that have brought us here tonight, where the current of history meets this new tide of hope. And you see, that is why I love this country. In my own small way, I've tried to give back to this country that has given me so much. See, that's why I left a job at a big law firm for a career in public service, working to empower young people to volunteer in their communities, because I believe that each of us No matter what our age or our background or our walk in life, each of us has something to contribute to the life of this nation. And it's a belief that Barack shares, a belief at the heart of his life's work. See, it's what he did all those years ago in Chicago, setting up job training to get people back to work and after-school programs to keep kids safe, working block by block to help people lift up their families. It's what he did in the Illinois Senate, moving people from welfare to jobs, passing tax cuts for hard-working families, and making sure women get equal pay for equal work. It's what he's done in the United States Senate, fighting to ensure that the men and women who serve this country are welcomed home not just with medals and parades, but with good jobs and benefits and health care, including mental health care. See, that's why Barack's running, to end the war in Iraq responsibly, to build an economy that lifts every family, to make sure health care is available for every American, and to make sure that every single child in this nation has a world-class education all the way from preschool to college. That's what Obama will do as President of the United States of America. He'll achieve these goals the same way he always has, by bringing us together and reminding us how much we share and how alike we really are. You see, Barack doesn't care where you're from or what your background is or what party, if any, you belong to. See, that's just not how he sees the world. He knows that thread that connects us, our belief in America's promise, our commitment to our children's future. He knows that that thread is strong enough to hold us together as one nation, even when we disagree. It was strong enough to bring hope to those neighborhoods in Chicago. It was strong enough to bring hope to the mother he met who was worried about her child in Iraq. Hope to the man who's unemployed and can't afford gas to find a job. Hope to the student working nights to pay for his sister's health care, sleeping just a few hours a day. And it was strong enough to bring hope to people who came out on a cold Iowa night and became the first voices in this chorus for change that has been echoed by millions of Americans from every corner of this nation. Millions of Americans who know that Barack understands their dreams. Millions of Americans who know that Barack will fight for people like them, and that Barack will bring, finally, the change that we need. And in the end, after all that's happened these past 19 months, see, the Barack Obama I know today is the same man I fell in love with 19 years ago. He's the same man who drove me and our new baby daughter home from the hospital 10 years ago this summer, inching along at a snail's pace, peering at us anxiously through the rearview mirror, feeling the whole weight of her future in his hands, determined to give her everything he'd struggled so hard for himself, determined to give her something he never had, the affirming embrace of a father's love. And as I tucked that little girl in and her little sister into bed at night, you see, I think about how one day they'll have families of their own, and how one day they and your sons and daughters will tell their own children about what we did together in this election. They'll tell them how this time we listened to our hopes instead of our fears. How this time time we decided to stop doubting and to start dreaming. How this time, in this great country where a girl from the south side of Chicago can go to college and law school, and the son of a single mother from Hawaii can go all the way to the White House, that we committed ourselves. We committed ourselves to building the world as it should be. So tonight, in honor of my father's memory and my daughter's future, out of gratitude for those whose triumphs we mark this week and those whose everyday sacrifices have brought us to this moment, let us devote ourselves to finishing their work. Let us work together to fulfill their hopes, and let's stand together to elect Barack Obama, President of the United States of America. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless America.
Michelle Obama campaigned for her husband's 2008 and 2012 presidential campaign. She was the first African American woman to serve as First Lady. As First Lady, Michelle Obama worked as an advocate for poverty awareness, education, nutrition, physical activity, and healthy eating.
During her first early months as First Lady, she visited homeless shelters and soup kitchens and sent representatives to schools and advocated public service. She advocated for her husband's policy priorities by promoting bills that supported it.
Her four primary initiatives as First Lady: Let's Move, Reach Higher, Let Girls Learn, and Joining Forces.
Some initiatives of former First Lady Michelle Obama included advocating on behalf of military families, helping working women balance career and family, encouraging national service, and promoting the arts and arts education. Michelle made supporting military families and spouses a personal mission and increasingly bonded with military families.
Michelle Obama's husband rise as an important national politician. Michelle became a part of their popular culture.
She remains an icon for all women as an author of multiple books and most recently, a new podcast called IMO with her brother Craig.
Look, I'm intimidated. We in the same line of business now? Girl,
Right?
I'm afraid. um,
It's hard to compete.
like how we gonna do this? Don't she make you want to get out the business a little bit? Like, I changed my mind. No, not at
No,
all.
no, because podcasts, honestly, this is not a bit of a history lesson. Podcasts were really from a lot of unknown content creators or, you know, creators in general. And at some point, when I think Hollywood and all the famous people realized, yeah, we can get in on this, they did.
Mm.
And I think it kind of pushed out some of the smaller podcasts and stuff like that, or genre, like not the genre like true crime ones. You can't compete with them. But I think it did push out some of the other podcasters. How do you compete with? I mean, you can't compete with Michelle. I'm just saying.
No. I'm happy we're kind of talking about other stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Right. So completely. Well, if it says
It
IMO,
might,
well, have you listened yet? It might be opinion based.
I haven't. I have not. I suck. Have
Okay.
you? Have you listened?
No, I haven't either. Girl, we're busy doing our own
Right.
podcast. It's
It's
hard to
hard,
listen to
right?
someone else's.
Um, but I think we probably should do our homework and start listening so we see what the competition is. Because
I
it is fierce
mean,
out here. It's fierce.
it
Okay.
is.
Um, I can't even lie to you. If I'm being like 100% honest in my MO, right?
Okay.
At at
All right.
at
All right.
first, when you was like, "Oh yeah, we're doing Michelle Obama, we're doing Michelle Obama, we're doing Michelle Obama," I was like, I was not excited about it. I'm gonna be so honest. I, I, I swear to God, I was
Really?
not. I was just like, I don't know why. she is so persistent on this Michelle Obama, but I'm on board with it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I support you because for whatever reason, you're passionate about this being first. And I was like, well, it is
Mm-hmm.
definitely current. You know what I mean? So at first, I was just really not excited about it. I have to be so honest, right? But then after doing some research, last minute, don't judge, but I did do it kind of last minute. I was kind of like, oh, okay, I get it. I get it. And I really am I'm happy that you chose her. I wasn't kind of at first. I was like, dang, why are we doing her? And not that I had anything against her. I just didn't understand the passion. And then and maybe I didn't really understand the passion because that's one thing that me and her do have in common is that I don't like politics. Anything that's dealing with politics, I'm like, but then I realized
Mm-hmm.
that's not even her anyway. And that's what I found very interesting. And it definitely shed some light just because you see somebody in that light or in and she really wasn't in politics, so to speak, but supporting her husband in that way. It's my fault because I kind of made assumptions.
Funny, because I think that she would have enough support if she ever decided to run for office. She would, hands down, I think she'd win. But she has said a few times that she was never going to run for office because she's just, politics is not her thing. But something that kind of struck me while we were watching or listening to this speech here was that, the part where she said, we our word is our bond, and we do what we say we're going to do. And when you look at some of the things that she did when she became first lady, she stuck to it. Like, even in that speech, she talked about like supporting military families, and she did it. Like, it wasn't that she was just talking the talk. There's tons of people out there that just talk the talk, but she talked it and she walked it.
The one thing that I wish I do absolutely agree. Your word is your bond, and what you say, you stick to it and you mean it. I kind of wish she would rethink. Um,
Same.
I really wish that I respect her. I have a lot of respect for her. I'm happy that you enlightened me by picking her. I actually almost became emotional even in her speaking, right? I did.
Really?
And mainly because I'm a mother and I have sons and I have daughters and they are of color. And just watching where she came from and watching the struggles in my childhood and the struggles that my kids have had to face, especially me not initially being a single parent, but being a single parent as of now, through divorce. Um, yeah, I definitely am like her, her, the way she talks about um, children in the future, really impacting me as a parent. I feel like that means a lot to me because we hear a lot of people um, and they don't recognize the true importance because we can have whatever we want today, but our children are for tomorrow. And we want whatever we do today to set them up for success. And that's really what I got. That's one of the things that I got. I got a lot from her
Yeah.
speech, but that was one of the things that I was like, you know what? We could definitely use that. And I really wish, even though I respect her for sticking to what she says she's gonna do and not do, God, I would love for her to um
Yeah.
pick up the
She get,
torch
she get my
because
vote.
I think I believe in my heart of hearts she definitely could be what we need.
Yeah.
Right? Too much?
No. I agree. I just wonder, and now we're not going to go down that road, but I just wonder if we as a country, if we are ever going to obtain that in
Mm.
my lifetime. And
I
when I
think if
say
she
that, I mean like as a woman and then a black woman as a president in higher office. Mexico seemed to get it, but we still can't. As much as everyone talks shit about that south of the border, they're a little bit more progressive than we are. But
and you
that's
talking about them.
me being
I
shady in this moment, and I'll stay on topic with Michelle here. Um, but it's one of the things I do also appreciate her stance when it comes to motherhood, much like you, because even she's like, I'm a ride or die. My husband's gonna do this. Okay, we going for
I
it. I
got
know
you.
I hate it, but we're gonna do it. But how
Right.
can I make this the best experience for my kids?
Yes.
And I
Yes.
remember, like, because I listened, I didn't read, but I listened to her first book, Becoming. And she moved her mother in the White House, like, I'm going to give my kids the best foundation in a very uncomfortable, not uncomfortable, in a life,
Untraditional.
untraditional, and a life that we never could have imagined. But these kids are going to have a solid foundation through us as parents and then their elders in their life. She said that this shit is happening.
Yeah.
And I
eh,
love that she did that.
Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, from my understanding, when doing the research, is she's one of the first.
Mhm.
They're one of the first families to actually invite um their family member, let alone their mother-in-law, to stay. And I figured that was definitely her way of keeping, like you said, keeping that family dynamic and keeping her girls as safe as possible. Because anybody can hire a nanny,
Yeah, and
right?
babysitters and all that other
And
stuff. But
babies,
she's
right?
like, nope.
Especially, it's like, no, no, no. And I don't blame her because I don't trust everybody with my kids either, child. Now, my
Fair
days of
enough.
my days of childcare, I was like, what the hell am I gonna do? I gotta work.
Hmm. Yeah, and
What's
she's
that?
like, I gotta work too. But funny how like she did it because I think she was kind of aware that she'd have like obligations, unlike like we
Average.
all have obligations as parents, but
Mhm.
like hers would be on a totally different level. So she'd have to be more travel.
Yes,
And she's like, no, my kids are not going to be with a damn nanny. Go ahead.
I'm with
Like
it.
I think that's amazing. And because up until up until her husband decided to run for president, had you
Mhm.
ever paid attention to any of the other first ladies? You did. Who?
Only one other one. I'm gonna be
Okay.
so honest with you.
Same here, but I wonder if it's the same person. I think it is.
I bet you it probably is. Only one other first lady that I can actually say I paid any attention to, and of course that would be Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, same.
I there's
For
I
different
was gonna
reasons, I'm sure.
absolutely
Or
different
maybe the
reasons.
same. Maybe the same reason. Wait a minute. I wonder if it's the same
Maybe
reason.
me and you have the same reason. And we don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now because we are really making it about
It's the same reason then.
Michelle Obama.
Oh.
Girl, I can't wait till we done with this episode because I'm like, girl, is it the same thing? Girl, is it?
I'm a
I bet
betting
you it
woman in this
is.
instance, and hell yeah, I think it
Girl,
is. Yes, we
but
all paid
anyway,
attention. And
um,
mm,
and it's like, and that says something about her as a person, her as an individual, not her as first lady, not her as the wife of.
mhm.
It's her, and that's what stuck out to me as well. Um, a lot of times I feel like in the past, and it's just my personal opinion, much like you said, I didn't pay them no attention.
Same. And I
Not
haven't
even a,
paid
not even
attention since.
since, honey. And the only time I pay attention now is when somebody throwing some shade. I'm like,
Hmm.
yep.
They're not memorable. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I hate to
Oh
say it because
wait,
it sounds like really shitty, but they're not really memorable. The things that they're doing,
some of these moments are memorable now.
but not for the right reasons. And
Exactly,
that's the
exactly.
thing with this family, and I'm gonna call it this family unit. Like everything that they've done was for the right reasons. Everything that Michelle has done is for the right reasons. It's not for fame. It's not for money. It is for the right, all for the right reasons. Like she said, I'm gonna support my man, and that's it. Okay, got it. I'm here. And even though you can tell, like if from her book, like she, I don't know if to say if it's the right thing to say because it's been a little bit since I've read it. But
Mhm.
there's definitely a balancing act when it comes to having to do that. But she handled it well. She's not walking around with "I don't care" jackets. Because you're tired of the press dogging you. And let's be clear, the press has given her a hard time over the years. In fact, people have said some really
Mhm. Very
mean,
mean things. Yes, absolutely.
hateful,
Ugly.
um,
Very. Hmm.
labeling her as the angry Black woman, like, which she's not. She may be stoic in her appearance, but that's part of, sometimes that's self preservation. There, I'm just saying.
Not in her when it comes to the angry black woman thing. It's not just her. I think all women of color. I don't know what it is, but um, when you say stuff and you stand up for yourself, then all of a sudden you're angry.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
it's at that point, maybe we are. Sometimes it's just you can't be too opinionated. Right, but sometimes we are angry because we've had to adjust who we are for so damn long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I have to dummy myself down to be around these people because I can't, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to play dumb.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not like, oh yeah, I know what it is, but I'm gonna act like I don't know what it is. I'm just gonna mind my, sometimes I feel like it gets to a point where you do get a little pissed off, like, enough of this shit. I'm smarter than you.
And sometimes the press, like they got on her, yes, about the angry Black woman, talking about she didn't smile. And I think the worst thing that they ever, I don't know if this is the press, but like the public, like talking about her features and then calling her Michael as if she's not a woman.
Child.
And through all of that, she has handled it still with grace. Like if
Mhm,
still with grace. I mean,
mhm.
I don't know. Like sometimes I think I have a handle on, and then I'll just surprise myself. I guess you don't, not yet. But she continues through everything to be graceful and, like, what was it when they go when they go low, we go high. She has
Yes,
maintained that and
yes.
consistently done it every single time.
Mhm.
Um, and that is why she was on our list, and the very, very, very first lady that we wanted to highlight in this first season, put that into the air because we will have many more. We wanted to
Yes,
highlight women in this very first episode of this special series called This Is Us from Oust Now. We wanted to highlight women because we are women. And we're going to start with us because for however long, when we talk about prominent figures, men seem to be the ones that are talked about first. So for this series, we wanted to talk about women because we are women. And this is
Ye-
us,
and
girl.
girl, again, again. Here we go. When you first said when you first started talking about the project, sis, um, of course, my excitement has never has changed. I'm like, yes, this is much needed. especially the way a lot of our history is being erased. Um, we have to make change when it comes to what we leave behind for our children. We can't rely on anybody else, everybody else. We have to kind of do it. And so the project in itself, I was like, yo, this is really dope. And I'm not gonna lie, I was against just doing women.
Mhm.
You know that. You know that. Because I was like, wait a minute, there's some really strong men of color that have contributed to, and we're gonna talk about them. Like, we don't want to make it just about women. And he was like, well, the first season we're doing women. And I was like, wait, listen, chick, listen, this is probably not a good idea. We need to talk about some men folks too, because we don't want to give anybody the impression that we are angry Black women.
Because we're not.
But I do understand the breakdown now, and I do understand why you said ladies first.
As it should be. But some people
I'm
don't
with
get
it.
that. Some men don't get
I
that.
didn't get it. I didn't
Don't
get it at
worry.
first.
Don't
I
worry.
didn't
You
get it.
guys, you're gonna be in the rotation, but this is
Yeah.
special because ladies first. We hope that you have enjoyed this very first episode from this series. And this is going to be a short series from our podcast that we hope will bring bring forth many more. And thank you for sticking with us to hear about This Is Us from Oust Now.
Thank you, as always. Feedback. And if, I don't know, I'm just gonna throw this out there. I don't know how you feel about it, sis. Even if we can't fit it into this 8 weeks, right? 9 weeks. Right? 9 weeks. Even if we can't fit it into this 9 weeks, if there is a really influential person of color that you would like us to bring to the forefront and talk about on Oust Now Podcast, always send us a message.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
All right.
everybody.